Many years ago, in a land far away, there lived a warrior named Yang, who trained with the Sad Flute clan since he was a kid to become the greatest swordsman in history. He achieved this feat by defeating the leader of the enemy clan and all his warriors, but when he found the leader's baby girl, he couldn't bring himself to kill her too. Unfortunately, this action made him an enemy of his own clan because no clan could truly win unless every single member of the enemy clan was dead, and that included the baby. With the Sad Flute going after him and not being able to trust even his own mate, Yang decides to burn down his house and take a ship to the USA, where he will find his old friend and former warrior Smiley and ask for sanctuary for him and the baby. Sadly, when Yang makes it to the small town of Lode, there is bad news waiting for him. Unfortunately, Smiley died 3 years ago, while in Yang's old home, his master Saddest Flute finds the ruins of Yang's house and a note from the shipping company Yang hired. Deciding to follow him to America, Saddest Flute gathers a big group of his clan's warriors to come with him back to Yang. The townspeople are wary of him, especially the local drunk Ron, but circus troupe member 8 Ball is nice and takes him to Smiley's old laundry shop, so Yang can stay there with a baby if he wants. Later in the evening, a woman named Lin attacks Yang from behind with a stick, and he lets her hit him in order not to reveal his real identity. Lin apologizes before explaining that she used to be friends with Smiley, and she thought Yang could have been a warrior enemy of Smiley. Seeing as Yang is a friend of Smiley too and needs help to start over, Lin decides to teach him how to do the laundry in order for him to take over the shop. She has an idea of how everything used to work because she used to help Smiley in exchange for him teaching her how to use a sword. Also, since Yang never got the baby's name, Lin decides to call her April. After a while, Yang cleans the shop to get rid of years' worth of dust. The next morning, he's open and ready for business. A trio of teenagers tries to bully him when they bring some clothes over, but luckily, the 8 Ball shows up and scares them away. Before inviting Yang to April's for lunch at the circus, the troupe is in the middle of building a Ferris wheel, hoping that will bring more tourists to their little town. Later Yang notices Lin as she practices knife throwing, and she's awful at it, which puts her in a bad mood. Ron continues to complain about Yang's presence in town, but the rest of the troupe is fun to hang out with in the evening. Yang walks near Lin's home and hears some music for the first time in his life. Lin hears him outside and invites him in so they can listen to the opera music together. This is the first thing Yang learns to do as a normal person, and the list just grows from there. The more days pass, the more Yang enjoys his new life in town and the simplest pleasures of life, like the joy of making things, cleaning, making friends and hanging out with them, working as a group with the townsfolk, playing games and feeling what it's like to lose at something, finding peace in private after a long day of work, watching the sunset, and starting his own garden. This last one is Yang's favorite because it allows him to bring life to this world instead of ending it. One afternoon, Yang notices Lin visiting the cemetery and asks 8 Ball about her past. Many years ago, the town came under siege by a corrupt colonel who wanted a girl to have some fun with and chose a teenager called Lin. He took her, but while running out of the building, the colonel shot her, so her parents and her sister tried to come to pick up her body, but the colonel shot them. Later, after the colonel was gone and the townspeople were moving the bodies to bury them, they discovered that, while the rest of the family was dead, somehow Lin had survived. Later in the evening, Yang sees Lin complaining about her own aim while throwing little rocks around for fun. Understanding where her inner anger comes from, now Yang decides to help her and takes her to the circus to teach her to aim. He explains that her problem isn't her arms but her focus, and Yang blindfolds Lin before making her throw knives at him, successfully landing them all without hurting him. Lin thanks him by calling him a sad flute, revealing she's always known who he was, because of Smiley stories. She also takes the chance to ask why the clan is called that, and Yang explains they're the sad flutes because when you cut the throat, the last sound is a sad flute. Next, Lin asks him why he joined the clan in the first place. Yang tells her about his father, who worked in the field and died when a swordsman killed him, just to test his sword. Yang had been angry at his father back then, and that's why he decided he wanted to become stronger. After noticing Yang was sad now, Lin gives him a necklace that used to belong to her mother. This reminds Yang of the only time in his life that he received a present. He was just a kid in training, and the Saddest Flute gave him a cute little dog. Afterward, Yang shows Lin his single-edged sword, which has been sealed to its scabbard so he can't kill again and nobody will hear the weeping of the souls he's taken. However, he also has a couple of twin short swords, and he uses those to pick up Lin's training, where Smiley left it, which Ron finds curious. On the other hand, the Saddest Flute and a clan have taken over a ship by force, killing the entire crew. The USA is a big country, but Saddest Flute isn't worried. He knows he'll find Yang easily when he gives up and grabs the sword again. They just need to listen back. In town, Yang's new life continues as normal. dealing with the teenagers' pranks, cleaning the locals' clothes, taking care of the flourishing garden, training Lin, and teaching April to take her first steps when Christmas comes. The circus troupe throws a big party that Yang attends but refuses to dance, and when Lin asks him to take her for a spin, they go back to training. Lin finally manages to get close enough to put her sword on Yang's neck, and she takes the chance to kiss him, but Yang is too confused to reciprocate. At that moment, the colonel and his men arrived in town, letting their horses stomp all over Yang's garden. The colonel is wearing a mask now to cover the burns. Lin left him while he interrupted the Christmas party by bullying the circus troupe. His men use the clown as target practice, and when Ron tries to stop them, the colonel catches him with his whip around the neck and makes one of his men drag him through the sand while riding a horse. Just then, the colonel shoots the clown in the foot before deciding he wants a girl for the night. The townsfolk know Lin will want to take revenge and do something stupid, so they tie her up in a cellar and Yang takes her swords. However, she has a knife hidden in her boot. After the men leave, the colonel gathers the local women and chooses one that turns out to be married. When the husband tries to defend her, the colonel overreacts. Yang discovers Lin has escaped, so he decides it's time to break the seal of sword. Saddest Flute hears the seal being broken and the wailing of Yang's sword, so now he knows in which direction to guide his clansmen. Back to Lin, she tries to attack the colonel with her knife by surprise, but it turns out he knows who she is since the beginning, and is waiting for her with his gun. With a shot at the ceiling, the colonel summons his men and makes them drag her into the bed, so he can finally get what he wants from her, but they're interrupted by the sudden arrival of Yang through the window. He easily kills the other man and is about to kill the colonel too, but Lin stops him, because she claims the colonel is hers. Deciding to use Lin as a shield, the colonel grabs her and pushes her with him through the window before running away as he rejoins the rest of his men. Lin follows him and uses her newfound focus to throw her knife, effectively killing the colonel. Or maybe not. When the townsfolk come closer and take off the mask, it's revealed the body belongs to a random guy that was used as a decoy, and the real colonel got to escape with his men. Yang goes to pick up his things in April, intending to leave town before he's found by the Saddest Flute, because he doesn't want them to be in danger. However, 8-Ball points out that they're already in danger because the colonel will come back for revenge with even more men. Yang accepts to stay to help, yet the townsfolk think he won't be enough. But it doesn't worry 8-Ball because he points out they also have Ron. It turns out Ron used to be an outlaw, and when he retired, he buried all his weapons in the cemetery, so now it's time to dig them out. While Ron tests his aim and confirms it's as good as it used to be, Lin talks to Yang. She's already guessed that he'll leave when it's all over, and she wants him to consider taking her with him in April when the time comes, with the weapons. Ron finds his old cowboy clothes and takes them to Yang for cleaning while the rest of the town uses the explosives to prepare traps. Ron and Yang bond over their pasts. Ron always knew Yang was a dangerous man because he could smell the blood, and Yang confesses he's always known about Ron too because of the same reason. The two of them shake hands, and Ron explains he quit his very successful career as a thieving outlaw because the rangers that were trying to catch him killed his wife. Before dying, Ron's wife asked him not to pick up a gun again, and he stuck to that promise since then. However, today, it's an emergency, and if 8-Ball had told Ron's wife, she would have understood Ron's advice to Yang that if he truly loved someone, he should stay away from them so as not to bring them pain. Afterward, Yang gives Lin her swords back and reminds her of the best places to stab a man for a quick death, making her shiver with his gentle touch. The next day, one of the teens hides with April in a cellar while Yang waits at the town's entrance, and Ron positions himself on the Ferris wheel when the colonel and his troops arrive. They ride ahead and stomp all over the garden again, falling for the dynamite the townspeople had hidden there earlier. The explosion kills a bunch of them and creates a dust cloud that allows Yang to move unnoticed as he kills more of the men. The colonel orders his men to move ahead and reach the circus, where the carnival machines are suddenly activated and create more explosions. Ron begins shooting at them from the top of the Ferris wheel, and when the colonel's men begin climbing the wheel to reach him, the circus troupe shows up to shoot them off, while Yang continues to move in the shadows to kill more men with a sword. Ron uses as many bullets as possible before sliding away on a cable. Once he reaches safety, they make the Ferris wheel explode, taking everyone down. The circus troupe comes out of their hiding spots thinking they've won, but the colonel and some of his men are actually still alive. Many of the performers are killed, and when the colonel's men are about to surround them, the chase is interrupted by the sudden appearance of the Saddest Flute and his warriors. A new fight starts between gun and sword users, and Yang tells Lin to run with April while he joins the battle, and both sides keep losing men at an alarming speed, especially because Yang kills opponents on both sides. Yang and Lin go to find 8-Ball only to discover the colonel killed him and took April away. The colonel hides with April in a hotel room, leaving a bunch of his men outside the door for protection. After more sad flutes get killed while trying to reach the baby, Yang shows up at the hotel too, and quickly he kills all the bodyguards before entering the room. With a quick movement of his sword, Yang disarms the colonel and gets April back, yet he doesn't kill him, leaving that opportunity to Lin. Lin and the colonel engage in a sword fight that begins with the colonel having the upper hand, but soon Lin turns it around and kills the colonel with great satisfaction. Afterward, it's time for Yang to confront his old master, who insists on the need to kill April because she'll always be the enemy. The saddest flute doesn't think Yang has the guts to kill him in battle, because he's always been soft of heart. When he was a kid he had a lot of trouble killing the dog, when his master ordered him to. And even as an adult, he couldn't even kill a baby. However, Yang will do anything to protect his loved ones and doesn't hesitate to kill his master. So sad status flute dies expressing his pride, and now it's all over. It's time for Yang to leave. Remembering Ron's advice, Yang not only decides not to bring Lin with him, but he also leaves April with a circus troupe so she can have a life away from danger. Months later Yang is living on a frozen land while selling the fish he catches. Unfortunately, he's found by an assassin here too. After killing the man, Yang retrieves his sword and the necklace Lin had gifted him, before burning down his latest house, including another opera record that he had acquired on his way out. He's found by more saddest flutes, meaning there will always be some fighting for him to do before finding a new home.